Thanks for stopping by. Today is part 3 of my modular mobile workshop workbench cubes, and this one is turned into a router table. Let me show you how I built this. I have 4 different videos in this series, but each of these builds are based on the same size box or workshop cube. This one's going to be turned into a router table, so that's what I'm going to be focusing on today, is building the cube and making it into a router table. If you need a little bit more detail on how to build the cubes, see the first part in this series. There'll be a link in the description. These are the casters that I'm going to be using for this cabinet. And what's really nice about these, as you screw this orange part here, this foot comes down and it becomes solid. So it can roll around on the wheel, put it where you want it, and then turn these orange things, and it's going to be just as solid as if it was sitting on feet. A lot easier option than messing around with some kind of movable base. The first step in prepping this cabinet is I put a fixed shelf in here and also an outlet with a switch on the outside so I can control the router from the outside using the switch to turn it on and off. And I also doubled up the top to make it 1.5 inches thick because I'm going to be routing a bunch of grooves in here and I don't want the top to be weak and start to sag. And the drawers are covered in another video. This router plate from, I guess it's Rousseau, comes with a very slight bow in it, so it was very difficult to hold this thing in place. So I ended up just screwing it to the tabletop, and then I traced around it to get the size for the router table. After I traced out where I'm going to put the router plate, I needed to make lines 3/8 of an inch in from that because that's the little lip that the router plate needs to set on. So I just pre-drilled some holes and started cutting. There's no need to buy a router plate template when you need to inset a router plate into a worktop. All you have to do is get some double stick tape and 4 pieces of scrap that are the same thickness. Put 2 down in the corner, set your router plate in there, and then put 2 more on the other 2 sides, and you'll have a perfect template right there. And then just get you a router bit and start routing. Hopefully one that's a little bit sharper than mine. I had to go out and get a replacement after this. Since my top is 1.5 inches thick, the screws that came with the router plate for adjusting the height weren't going to work. So I just took an 1/8 inch drill bit, drilled some holes in that little lip, and then took some number 8 machine screws and drove them straight through the plywood from the bottom. You don't need to tap the holes. The screws will make their own threads and they'll be perfect for adjusting the height of the router plate. And next I'm going to do something very similar for the T-tracks I'm going to put in to hold my fence down. Just put some blocks of wood on either side of your T-track to get the spacing right and use a pattern router bit and route away, and your T-tracks will fit perfectly. And you should be able to see and hear the difference in what using a good router bit will do. And I also routed a slot in the front of the table, and I'm going to put a track in there so I'll be able to use a miter gauge or a coping sled for times when you need to route the edge of a board and you can't really use the fence. I put my fence on off of my old router table, and with this slot here, now I can use a miter gauge or a coping sled when I have to route the end of a board. And this may seem strange to have this come off like this, but if I hinged it in any direction, it's going to be in the way when I'm in there messing around, adjusting the router, whatever else I'm doing. So I'm going to leave it like this for now. Have all my accoutrements in my drawers. I'm ready to route. Another benefit of having your router table on wheels is if you're working on something that's going to be a huge mess, just roll it outside and make the mess outside, less to clean up in the shop. I'm really happy with the way this cube turned out. These cubes are really versatile. As a matter of fact, they're so versatile, I made some other ones. I made one with doors and adjustable shelves. I built one with drawers. I made one into a flip-up cabinet. And since these are square, you can put them together side by side or back to back. They still move around plenty easily enough. You can make an L shape if you want. Or you can put them together straight in a line, which is what I'm going to do. You could still roll them, but it's getting heavy. I really appreciate you taking the time to stop and watch my video. Hopefully you got some ideas from it. Maybe you'll build some of these cubes or something like it. And make sure you hit that subscribe button to see what I come up with next. Thanks for watching. My modular mobile workshop workbench series. I forgot to say cubes.